Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Glossy Philosophy. My name is Jansen Bidman. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up because today we are talking about a festive eye look. Last week we did a festive lip look. Today we're doing a festive eye look, so stay tuned. I've already washed my face and done my skincare, so let's get going by correcting or neutralizing the face. I'm going to start with my Bobbi Brown on my ring finger and just tap that in. I am doing more of an eye focus look today, so that means that I really want to make sure that any discoloration that's happening around the eye gets muted, gets canceled out, so that I can concentrate on what's happening in my eye area. I'm also going to take a little bit of this and pop that on that spot that is definitely healing but is still a little angry red looking. I'm going to leave the rest of that alone. I'm even going to leave my complexion alone for right now. But we still have one more prep step to do. I am going to take my black treacle from ELDRIDGE and I'm going to tightline my eyes. This is such a makeup artist trick that I learned a really long time ago from NARS. I'm going to lift up my lid very, very gently and color in that upper waterline with the black, and it just makes such a huge difference. This eye looks much more open than this one, as you can tell. Now we are just going to go for it. So I'm going to start with some Oyster Pearl from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm going to use my ring finger again. You can also use a brush, and I'm just going to place that starting on the ball of the eye and kind of working my way out. This is a really great in-between copper and silver. It kind of has both. So it works with a lot of clothing options, which is really great around holiday time. I know last year silver was really big and it still is, but we're also seeing hints of gold everywhere. So no matter if you go gold or silver, Oyster Pearl is a really great in-between shade that you can wear, again, with lots and lots of colors from navies, blacks, gold, silvers, all of those things, and then whatever you layer on top of it can really help to make that color sing. So I brought that up just a little bit into the socket and a little bit higher, but you can already tell even with the navy that I'm wearing, it looks really good. The next thing that I'm going to do is take some Emily from ELDRIDGE and I'm going to layer that right on top. Basically do the same thing, but this is going to add just an extra element, extra layer of depth to this look. And again, they're so similar that I'm actually going to work this from the ball of the eye out, and then whatever I have left I'll bring forward to that center part. But you can see that this eye is popping a little bit more than this one. And I feel like with holiday looks, the more layering that you can do, the more exciting that holiday eye can become, because otherwise it can get a little flat, especially if you know that you're gonna have pictures taken during this holiday festive event. It's a really great idea to layer because the camera loves depth. It loves layers. If your look is really flat, like one color on your eye, and you don't have a bright lip, then your face can appear a little bit flat. And the same is true of an eye look. If you don't do those layering, if you don't add in just a little bit of depth here, and you don't have the right lighting, if you don't have beauty lights shining on your face, then in photographs it's not going to appear as nice as it could if you would have just taken a moment to do a few extra layers. So now we're going to add a little bit of depth on the outer part before we add in our, once again, Moonstone shadow. I used this last week in my red lip tutorial. It is such a great topper. I use it pretty much every holiday season, and sometimes I use it wet, sometimes I use it dry. But right now we are going in with the 207 from BK Beauty. I'm going to grab Embark, and I'm just going to place this on the outer part of the eye. This is a smudge brush, so really its purpose is to either smudge something that has become maybe a little bit too graphic, or to act as almost a bigger pencil brush and just kind of place, and then you can blend out with a different kind of brush. It's not really, its purpose is not to do anything else except for detail work. So I've placed my shadow. I'm going to wipe that off because I am going to use that underneath the eye in a little bit. And now I'm going to go in with something a little bit fluffier, a little bit less dense. I'm going to go in with my 217, nothing on it, and I'm just going to disperse that powder a little bit more and see if I need to add it. But I did want a lot of impact just on that outer half to make sure that, again, I'm creating depth, I'm lifting up the eyes and really creating a dimensional look. So now I'm going to leave my eyes alone for a little bit, let them relax, let them rest, and I'm going to move on to complexion because I've already done all my dark colors. I've done anything that's going to create any fallout, so now I can move on to complexion. I have combined my 9 and my 11 in my Lisa Eldridge foundation bottle, so I'm just going to shake that up and make sure that both of those pigments are talking to each other and smashing into one another. So I basically don't have to use 2 foundations all the time. I'm just going to pump that into my hand, maybe like 1.5, because it is a party and I do want that longevity. So I've placed it on my fingers and my face is quite slick from all of my skincare. So I'm just gonna work that into the skin. I've been seeing Bobbi Brown kind of pop up on my feed, and she's a huge proponent and fighter for fingers. She does like a brush, but she usually likes to do fingers first and then do a finishing brush. And I have been really liking this. It just feels a little bit faster. I also feel like my makeup doesn't look quite so perfect, which I love because I want to look like myself. I don't want to look like a glossy magazine in real life. I just want to look really pulled together. So I'm taking my Pro Foundation 55 and just kind of patting in anywhere where I feel like it could have gone awry or maybe gotten caught in some nooks and crannies that are happening. Now I'm ready for my concealer. So GIORGIO Armani Luminous Silk, I'm going to roll just a little bit, not the full force of the doe foot applicator because that would be a lot of concealer. A little bit goes a long way with this guy. I'm going to split it, ring finger again, always making sure that you're wiping down your ring finger so that you don't end up putting Oyster Pearl or Emily right underneath your eye where you don't want it. And I'm just placing that underneath the eye in kind of that fan or upside down triangle, depending on how graphic you want your face to look. If you really want to look chiseled, do more of that geometric shape. If you want it to appear a little bit softer, you can fan it out a little bit more. And just complementing what I've done with my eye makeup right there, I can also bring a little bit down the center of my nose. Again, if I know that I'm going to be photographed for this occasion, that little trick, even though it's super subtle, makes a huge difference. And then I'm very lightly gonna tap right on top of that spot and just blend around it so the full force of that gets onto the actual spot. And then because I have been a little under the weather, kind of going around my nose as well. Speaking of being under the weather, that means that my lips are super dry, so I'm going to jump to my lips, let everything kind of set for a moment. I'm going in with 1C. I'm doing an eye look, so I don't want to go overboard with my lips. So I'm doing 1C, which is pretty much my lip color, but it means that my lip is going to stay on a little bit easier, a little bit longer, even if I'm eating and drinking, unless I'm having like a super oily burger or pizza, which usually isn't served at a holiday party. Not saying that it shouldn't, it just usually isn't. I put on a lip balm earlier this morning, but it's pretty much already gone. So that just gives the lips a little bit more definition than they naturally would. And then I'm going to go in with my new Muse, start in the center, blend out, work that into my lips, and that just makes my lips so much happier. So at this point, what you can do is you can either take your gloss or your lipstick, or you can take something like Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk blush, pop that on your cheeks. We are actually going to go with the Pillow Talk because I use the gloss, and glosses just don't have a ton of pigment in them, and they can be quite sticky on the cheeks. So if you feel like you are going to be kissed at any moment or you're going to be doing lots of hugs, I would recommend something more like a lipstick or like Charlotte's Pillow Talk cream blush, because this is just the perfect kind of brownie pink color. And even though it's a great item all by itself, I do like a little bit more of that luminous cheek this year, especially with the lights being a little bit lower during parties. You can get away with a more luminous skin. In fact, the Victorians used to do this all the time with, you know, putting lead on their faces, but it was a very shiny lead that they would use, a very shiny lead mixture, and their skin would just glow, and it was because of that candlelight that made it so glorious. but also deadly. Don't do that, okay? We are jumping to our brows right now, just kind of filling in anywhere where there are empty spots, sparse spots, getting them kind of under control. And I'm using ash brown, which is a really nice cool brown because I think it just complements whatever is happening with my hair at any particular moment, any particular day. And I can always come through with a spoolie. Make sure that you're wiping down your spoolies every once in a while, otherwise they do get gunked up and they don't work as efficiently as they could normally. So my complexion is basically done. The only other thing I want to add before we jump back to the eyes is going to be a little bit of bronzer. Now again, we are working in candlelight, luminescent situations, so we can go a little bit heavier if we want to, but maybe you are getting ready in the morning like I am, and then you have something going on a little bit later. The great thing about these Charlotte Tilbury wands is that you can do this in the morning and look fantastic throughout the day. Pop them in your purse, just make sure that you twist it to the off setting, and then you can reapply, and it goes on so beautifully on top of makeup, which I know is kind of gross, but you know, like a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, and you might not have time to redo your full face in between all the things that you have to do. So I'm just taking my Lisa #1 brush, and because I didn't put a ton on, I feel like I can get away with just kind of patting it where I need to. In the other video, I used a BK Beauty brush because I was using a little bit more. When you do a red lip, it can kind of suck the color away from your face in an interesting way. So you kind of need a little bit more color on the cheeks just to liven up and balance out that red lip. But I'm not doing a lip today, I'm doing my eyes. So I don't need quite as much contouring, quite as much bronzing as I would need with a darker red lip. So that just gives the face a little bit more dimension. Now before we powder, I do want to finish the eyes because I want to make sure everything is set and ready to go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into Oyster Pearl. I'm going to go back in with my smudge brush, which I have wiped down, and I'm going to smudge that right into that lower lash line, because this is a party look, and what goes up must come down with a party look. I'm going to kind of squint my eyes a little bit so I get that extra little second lid that's going on with me, and that's how I know how far to bring it down. If your second lid is a little bit smaller than mine, you don't need to go quite so far down. It's no big deal. Now, I'm not going to do Emily here because I don't feel like I need to. These colors are so similar. But I am going to add a little bit of black treacle in my lower waterline. You can go for a smoky quartz or a different color from Victoria Beckham or Lisa Eldridge, but I'm going to go full on black. Because I don't normally do this, I don't normally close down the entire eye, but it feels a little bit more special around holiday season. And again, when you have darker lights, you're going to an event that's at nighttime, you can get away with doing those darker colors anyways. I'm actually going to continue with that black treacle, and I'm going to smudge this in to my upper lash line. And then I'm going to go in with my Stila Stay All Day and create my little wings for a little extra lift. And that is looking properly nice and smudgy and cool and kind of rocker chic, which I'm also loving right now. I feel like punk rock, that kind of thing is popping in and out of style right now, so super happy. Everything is looking nice and even, nice and symmetrical, so we are good to go for mascara, and then we set and we are done. So pretty quick festive eye makeup. I'm using my Overcurl, making sure that it is in the correct direction so that it does actually lift and curl the lashes, and I'm not working against myself. So you want to make sure that that curve is pointing outward and you are creating it almost like a lash curler. I'm skipping my primer because I just don't feel like I need it. We are ready to powder. I'm actually going to use a smaller powder brush. This is the 110. I'm going into my Fenty, which I've already tapped out into the lid a little bit more than I should have probably, so I'm definitely going to make sure I'm whacking off any excess, getting right underneath the eye and in any kind of nooks and crannies around my nose and around my face. This powder does have a very kind of pleasant smell about it too. Sometimes you get a funny smelling powder, and because my skin has been so dry because of antihistamines and just the weather in general, I really only want to powder through the center of my face, anywhere where I don't want to keep that glow. But I don't even want to touch this area because I purposely added glow to those areas. And our final step is, of course, adding Moonstone, which I almost forgot, but we did not. So right on the ball of that eye, if you want it to be kind of the star of the show, you can wet your brush. If you just want it as a topper, I would use your finger only because this is potent, but I love just adding that little bit right on top of any eye right now. And that is the tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching this holiday eye tutorial, whether this is for Christmas, Christmas Eve, New Year's, a ballet that you're going to, concerts, all of the things. You have in your arsenal now a lip look and an eye look to make your holidays a little bit more festive and a little bit easier. I do fashion videos every Wednesday, beauty videos every Friday. Make sure you are following me on Instagram and watching the shorts in between for more before and afters and lots of outfit inspiration. And I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye!